Yeah, so I mean, I was such a nerd. I would like during my study periods in school, I would like go down to the courts and sit in court and watch court happen.
And how old was you?
About 16,
Oh
17.
my God. Yeah,
Yeah, so I was so weird. And people, like my yearbook quote at school is call 0800 Susan Harper for legal advice.
I wouldn't say like, obviously a lot of different people have got different meanings to like weird or whatever. I wouldn't say it was weird. Yeah. It just sounded like you was in your own world, in your own bubble.
I've always been a strong visualizer.
Yeah.
So I would visualize myself in a courtroom leading a certain type of life.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that's how I think you need to have those kinds of visualizations if you actually want to get motivated to chase something. Because human beings are very reward-driven people. Like, I mean, we get most of our motivation or drive to do something from literally something as simple as a hit of dopamine. So it's like if there's a reward in sight, human beings are going to get motivated to go and chase that. Or if there's a threat in sight, human beings are going to get motivated to run away from that. So if you are strongly visualizing in your mind the reward of what is going to happen if I go to law school, do all of this stuff, and in 10 years I can see myself doing this, then that's how you stay in law school for 5 years. You've got to hold on to that sort of visualization. It's why, you know, I haven't given up on music, because I have in my mind, I visualize performing to huge audiences. And if you're not visualizing that, then there's barely any reward to chase. And you need to, if you want to stick at something, you have to visualize it. You have to see a reward.
And be working at it at the same time, whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah. And did that.
Yeah.
Contentment or happiness isn't a state of being, because no matter where you are in the world, I mean, you sort of think, well, you know, you move to somewhere like Paris, like London, you've got all of these opportunities, your life is going to change, everything's going to be amazing. Well, it doesn't mean that you are not going to be having the shittest time of your life at certain points.
A lot of people, sorry to even cut you, you're absolutely right, because so many people have experienced that, like coming from other countries, thinking like if they come to London, their life is all going to be perfect now.
Fine.
Even people from from Birmingham, from other areas or whatever. A lot of people just have this perception, thinking if I go there, whatever, but it's not always like that.
But it's how you adapt. Like when I was living in Paris, I was absolutely dirt broke.
Yeah.
You know, literally times where I probably had like €2 in my pocket.
What's too quickly like?
€2, like
is that?
£2.
Oh, wow.
And you know, I had never experienced being so broke like that before. But what do? I took my guitar out onto the street.
Get the guitar out
with my flatmate. I think contentment is a dodgy thing, because
that's interesting. God, let's talk about it. What do you think?
Because a lot of people say that, like, you know, your goal in life should be to be happy, content. But what the fuck does that mean? Because happiness and contentment is an emotion.
Tell them.
It literally comes and goes like every other emotion. It's not a state of being.
That's true.
So, yeah, sorry to shatter everybody's. Sorry to shatter everybody's dreams.
I see you're chasing for something. You're always
too good
for something.
Yeah, and I mean, and that runs a risk. There's a risk in that.
Yes.
Always wanting more. But I think that being grateful is very important, because I'm content in the moments that I feel grateful.
Yes.
So contentment comes in moments, and you can generate contentment by being grateful.
I hear you.
But that being grateful shouldn't create limitation for wanting more. So,
I hear you. But it's not always like that.
But it's how you adapt. Like when I was living in Paris, I was absolutely dirt broke.
Yeah.
You know, literally times where I probably had like €2 in my pocket.
What's too quickly like?
€2, like
is that?
£2.
Oh, wow.
And you know, I had never experienced being so broke like that before. But what do? I took my guitar out onto the street.
Get the guitar out.
With my flatmate. We would buy a €2 bottle of wine. We would sit on the streets of Paris in our chairs, and she would sit on the street, I would sit in a chair, we'd put a tin out there, and I would just sit and play the guitar on the street for a couple of hours, and you make like 70, 80 euros.
You see, I love that kind of mindset. You see, because some people would even think of that. And plus, thank you for sharing that as well. And hopefully this would help someone as well, especially people with like, what you call it, with pride. Yeah. You know, sometimes people with pride or whatever, pride would make some people like lose out on a lot of opportunities, or sometimes, because like there's a lot of people who probably gonna watch this one day and be like, I'll never do that. Or some people are gonna watch this and say, oh dude, I didn't even know you could have different like outlooks, perception.
I've never to this day been so anxious to play live or to get that guitar out. And I've been doing this my entire life. Yeah. Performing, singing for people at family gatherings, at, you know, I have never been so anxious.
Interesting.
That first time that I took the guitar out to the street, because you know that people are going to walk past. People are going to not take any notice of you. Yeah. And no matter what you do, no matter how much you put yourself out there, no matter how much energy or soul you put into what you're playing, people are going to walk past you. And you've got to be, and you know that that's going to happen because you see other people doing it, and you see people just walking by, because people don't want to, a lot of people don't want to give you their money, so therefore they don't want to engage with you. But then what happens is that you get some people who, you know, you make people cry. I mean, I just remember, I think that I am incredibly lucky. Like I often think to myself, well, in terms of the lottery of life, I'm doing pretty well. I really won good in the lottery of life. I had loving parents.
Big up your mum and dad.
Yeah.
Big them up.
I mean, I think that is possibly the biggest, most crucial factor of liking yourself as a human being when you're older is is your parents. And if you were lucky enough to have parents who showed you love and raised you well, then I think that, to be honest, your problems are just halved. So I mean, I'm very lucky with that. I grew up in a rural environment, so I was, got in touch with nature from a very young age. I was born with a pretty good brain, I think. So I was, I was smart enough to be able to do things like go to law school. Yes. I had enough resources to be able to get to places like that. I'm mobile. So in terms of being granted gifts, I got pretty good.
You're good.
So
and where